swept up in today's independent music.
Good morning, everyone, and in case it's not morning where you are, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. I am your host, Anthony Longhair Leclair, and I'm here with my marvelous co-host, Marla the Mouse McHardy.
What's up, everybody?
This is Swept Up, episode 8, I believe.
Ooh,
we're almost at the big 1-0.
Oh, shit.
Time for an anniversary party.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, today we are going to be covering just a single tune from London's alt-pop artist Elizabeth. When I say London, I do not mean London, Ontario.
For all those Ontario people out there?
Yeah, for whoever of you actually know that there's a London in Ontario.
If you don't, then now you do.
Well, it's reasonable enough to assume. I mean, like, half the people we've reviewed, or more than half the people we reviewed, are all Canadian, so
that's true, it's fair.
Chances are they know we have a London.
Mm-hmm. So
today we're going to review Elizabeth and her new single out called I Choose Myself. It's, if you couldn't guess from the title, a little bit of a self-interested song. It's meant to promote self-empowerment, and when I first read the description of it and the title of it, I was a little skeptical. I was like, you know, this could be a little too self-involved and could, like, you know what I mean? It could easily become something that was just, I choose myself. Myself is the most important. And, like, sure, it is.
Yeah.
But it's, there's a difference between self-obsession and self-empowerment. So I was concerned that it would lean towards self-obsession. And
there's a few songs out there that are like that are kind of just like, oh, it's a song about loving yourself, but really it's a song that makes you sound like you're full of yourself.
Yeah. And, like, trust me, I know all about self-obsession. But anyway, we're not going to say which way this song went. We're just going to play it for you, and then we'll have a chat about it right after. So here is I Choose Myself from Elizabeth.
Have you ever been so far from sleep? When your mind starts running, but your body is weak. I have never been so far from peace. I have never been so far from breaking the repeat. Have you heard the voice in my head? She says to be careful. She says hold back instead. But I'm sick of the future from everyone else. So when it comes down to it, I choose myself. When no one says what they really want to, we call each other and sing. I'm left with what I feel, no proof, and I'm left caught in between. I'm ready for a change, it's welcome to whatever end. 'Cause all it takes is to be honest and repeat what I left. Have you heard the voice in my head? She says to be careful. She says hold back instead.
kick-ass song.
It is. I quite like it.
So I always like to think about who it reminds me of. I know a lot of artists hate that because it's like, well, don't compare me to this artist or that artist or whatever. I haven't heard that I've insulted anyone yet by doing this, but I'm still going to continue doing it anyway, even if I do. And I'm sorry if I do here, though I don't think you should be insulted by either of these. But at the start of it, I was like, oh, she's going to go for like a Sarah McLachlan sort of style. And it's really quiet. It's just piano, and it's got that rasp. It doesn't have the, head voice, falsetto-y purposeful break in the voice, but it has that rasp that I was like, oh, okay. See what we're going for. And then forgetting that she's not an alt artist, she's an alt pop artist, and then all of the electro shit starts, and I was like, oh, this is something very different than I thought it was. And then I was like, hey, it's like a dance tune. And then it gets closer to the end, and I'm like, oh no, it's a Florence and the Machine tune.
See, I definitely heard that whole, like, even in the beginning part, because I mean, I don't know, I'm probably a bigger listener of Florence and the Machine than you are, but because it really reminds me a lot of, like, sort of her newer stuff, like, kind of, like, How Big, How Blue, How Beautiful era type Florence and the Machine. It really has that, like, newer sort of synthier, ethereal kind of vibes to, which I'm a fan of because I've been listening to Florence and the Machine forever, so, like...
Yeah, so definitely you listen to her more than I do, just based on you knowing the name of, I guess that was an album that you were...
Yeah, it is. It's a newer Florence and the Machine album.
Okay.
But...
So, cool. But we're not here to plug Florence and the Machine. Anyway.
I know. I'm just saying that's what it reminds me of. Yeah.
But yeah, so... It's really... So I definitely got that vibe. I got that vibe more because it got closer to that, like, Shake It Off vibe. Or whatever, is that what it's called? Right?
Yeah.
It got more towards that with the end and like the airy vocal choir stuff. What was interesting, I thought... So, look, I'm not a big fan of electro music. And I also don't listen to a lot of pop music anyway, but...
I feel like I listen to a fair amount of it. But not, like, I mean, I listen to kind of everything, so... Yeah,
I mean, I guess I listen to the majority of things, and there is pop music I like for sure. This being a song I do quite enjoy, and I also love that this whole self-empowerment thing. Because with a title like "I Choose Myself," I expect it to be in the chorus, which it is, but I also, as I said before, expected it to be a little too self-obsessed. So I thought it was going to be either really repetitive with the "I choose myself," kind of thing, or I don't know, some degree of intensity that I just didn't want. However, the chorus on this is like the perfect way to get that line in just right at the end, and then she moves on to sing the rest, right? And then the line comes again. She says it a number of times, but it's the chorus, so whatever. But it only happens at the end of the chorus, and that's great. And because the repetition could have been when she says down to it, that could have just been once, and then it could have been I choose myself twice, right? Instead, it was like when it gets down to it, twice she does, and then I choose myself. And and the song is true enough about a lot of things. It's you're tired of living other people's lives and like futures that aren't your own, essentially, right? Because you're just doing all the shit that other people want you to do. It's like, no, do the shit you want to do.
Exactly, yeah. And it's like, even like in relationships, there's points where you just have to say, like, fuck it, I have to be selfish. I have to choose myself in this situation because it's the only way it'll get better, kind of thing. So
I love how, I mean, the vocals aren't dry by any stretch of the imagination. There's enough effect on it, but there's also enough of just her voice where I'm like, I get to hear the quality of the voice. Also, we get to hear some of the... In case you can't hear what I'm doing, I'm just going to get a little closer and just go...
And now everybody who's wearing headphones is going, fuck!
Yeah, well, no, it didn't... it did. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'll cut it so it's not as hard. But, so... Because typically that sort of stuff is edited out, where you don't get the whole, like... And it's... On one hand, it's really cool that she doesn't bother, or maybe it wasn't noticed, but I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt and say that she just decided not to bother because that's her voice and too fucking bad. So good. On the other hand, given that it's already kind of a processed song with like electro stuff and airy backing vocals and all that kind of thing, it seems strange to me that that's left in there, especially at certain points that I could get it once like the beat came underneath it and we got some of that synthy stuff. I was like, if it was just an acoustic song, which by the way I think you should do just an acoustic version of this if you haven't before.
I'd love to hear just a stripped down piano version of this. There's another artist who kind of does that, and I just love hearing stripped down piano versions of their songs. It's great.
There are many artists who do
I
that.
know. I want to go into it, but I also don't want to plug this other artist because we're talking about this person.
Oh,
so.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it would be wonderful to hear an acoustic version of that song, I think. And I can just imagine watching Elizabeth live doing that stripped down, right? Mm-hmm. The song, by the way, people I'm talking about. But and just I don't know if she's the one playing the piano in this or whatever, but if she is, it'd be really interesting to see her just play it live with just the piano and then belt it, or then the choir kicks in towards the end or whatever. It'd be very interesting to hear. But anyway, so I found that vocal quality interesting, that it was kept all the way through in spite of the fact that the rest of the song was processed. Mm-hmm. If it stayed like it was in the beginning, then I would totally understand. And it's, but it's her voice, so good. I'm glad that you keep that, because too many people process way too much of their voice in a lot of music today. And
it's sometimes really nice to have that sort of vocal realness in an age where things tend to be overly processed sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. Another bit that I'm going to say that I quite enjoy, just because it's kind of offsetting at first. If you're listening to my knuckles keep cracking. It's kind of offsetting at first if you're really listening to the composition of the song and the piano specifically, because there are certain points, for the most part, where there's the sustain, as people would expect, but then there are always a couple of hits with the piano that are sudden stops as well. And I thought it was really interesting because there's also nothing else behind it. It's just silence, and then the next vocal line or the next piece of music comes in with it, and it's really cool. So as an example, I'll throw one in right here.
She says hold back instead.
But yeah, so that bit right there that I just edited in post me saying this is it's really cool that start stop thing happens in there, because it's kind of unsettling, which is kind of cool given that the song is talking about self-empowerment, and that's often terrifying as shit. So
yeah,
it's like, yeah, this is slightly off-putting and slightly jarring, but so is taking responsibility for yourself and doing things for yourself. As long as you're not, if you're a selfish ass, then it's easy for you, and then it doesn't matter, whatever, then you may as well not listen to this song. But if you're someone who's having a rough go and is used to doing all the things for all the people and has no time for themselves and is working a shit job and hates whatever else, then this is probably a song you should listen to, even if you don't like sappy, semi-sullen alt-pop music. Mm-hmm. I like this quite a bit. And
I do too.
I mean,
yeah.
But yeah, so for people who are down on their luck, or working a shitty job, and have that thing that they want to do, but just can't seem to drive themselves to do it, there are two things I'd recommend. Well, there are many things I could recommend. But one thing I'd recommend... Sorry, I am going to plug someone else on this. I don't give a fuck. I recommend Gary V. Check out Gary V. Because he will just say everything that you want to hear but don't want to hear. And you'll hate him, and then you'll be like, oh, he was right. And then second, check out this song again. And download and purchase I Choose Myself by Elizabeth, because this is a kick-ass song. It's got a good message. It's not overwhelmingly self-obsessed. It's touching. It's full of emotion. It's clear that she understands where the angle comes from on her own song. Like some people just have the story that they tell. It's like, it's clear this is something that she's had to deal with or is dealing with. And so it's awesome to get that relationship between the artist and the listener, and know that, it's music. This is the way it's meant to work. And you know that you're not alone.
you said what I wanted to say, so there you go.
Sorry, we'll write a script next time and then.
It's okay.
All right, so that's that. It's a quick episode. This I was going to say today, but you don't know what day it is today. It's before we post it, that's for sure. Anyway,
Yeah.
That being said, check out the links below. Check out Elizabeth. She's an awesome artist. And yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tune in next time, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll see you in episode 9.
Swept Media. Get swept up in today's independent music.
See you later, guys.
It's very like, see you later, guys. Bye,
That was
guys.
not even intentional.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
At least our first 3 episodes weren't as shit as like episodes 1 through 3 of Star Wars. So like when you get to episode 9 here, you might kind of be like, oh, well, whatever, because you've already had really good stuff before that. And I mean, 6, 7, and 8 were pretty good.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
I'd say even 5, although our episode 5 wasn't really like an Empire Strikes Back, but like,
No.
you know, whatever. Anyway.